Chosen one, heaven has paused for you. The world may still hum with noise, but right now, everything divine is holding its breath. The Spirit wanted you to hear this. Your waiting has not been wasted. Every delay was a divine design, not a denial. You've been through so much. The long nights, the unanswered prayers, the quiet question no one saw. You thought maybe heaven forgot your name, but it didn't. God has been working in silence, crafting something greater than what you asked for. This moment, this pause isn't punishment. It's preparation. There's a story of one who waited another, chosen one who almost gave up. He prayed for years for a door to open, but nothing moved. People around him advanced, laughed, prospered, while he sat still. Yet what he didn't know was that heaven was rearranging the ground under his feet. One morning, he woke up, and the door that refused to open before was not only unlocked, it was wide open, waiting. He stepped through and realized the years of delay had built the character to carry what he had prayed for. That is you. You've been in divine training. Every silent season has shaped your endurance, humility, and discernment. It was written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 15, "In quietness and in trust shall be your strength." Let those words sink into your bones. Quietness is not weakness, it's divine strategy. You've been taught to hustle, to prove, to push, but heaven's language is rest. When you stop fighting for control, God steps in with completion. Imagine a seed buried in the earth. It looks dead. It's dark, hidden, forgotten. But in that stillness, something sacred happens. Roots reach deeper, unseen. You, too, have been underground in a sacred silence. Not dying, but deepening. Heaven hid you so you could strengthen where eyes can't see. This is your sacred pause. You're not late. You're precisely on schedule for divine manifestation. Take this stillness as a sign that your prayers are already in motion. The delay was never meant to break you. It was meant to make you ready for abundance that will not crush you when it comes. Maybe you feel like you've been stuck on the same page for too long. But the author of your story hasn't stopped writing. He's simply writing in invisible ink that only appears under the fire of faith. The waiting is the ink heating beneath your belief. So rest, breathe, trust. Your rest is warfare now. When you stop panicking, you silence the enemy. When you choose peace, you confuse darkness. Heaven moves fastest when you stop striving. The Spirit wants you to know what's coming next is going to make sense of everything. Every disappointment will become a doorway. Every not yet will become a this is why. I, chosen one. You've carried too much alone. Heaven saw you crying in that quiet space where no one else was watching. Those tears were not wasted. They watered the promise you're about to walk into. Soon, your name will be mentioned in rooms you've never entered. The very thing you thought passed you by will call your name. God is not done with you. He's just getting started. This season is about resting into readiness. Still your heart. Let peace do the heavy lifting. Everything you've asked for is already on its way. It just needed the right hour, and that hour is approaching. Now, as this message reaches you, take a breath. Feel that stillness. That's heaven's confirmation. It's saying, rest while you can, because what's next will require your full strength. If this word resonates deep in your spirit, take a small act of faith like share and subscribe so you don't miss what heaven is releasing next. And in the comments, declare your agreement with a simple number, 77. Heaven reads faith written in Numbers 2. Rest now, chosen one. Your stillness is your strength, and your strength is building your tomorrow. You are standing on the edge of something holy. The night before breakthrough always feels the heaviest, but it's also the quietest proof that dawn is near. The heavens are not testing you, they are trusting you. Stay still. The light is already on its way through the cracks of your surrender. Every promise that felt delayed is gathering momentum behind the veil. The unseen realm is loud right now, arranging miracles in silence. Do not rush what God is perfecting. Let peace hold your hand as time catches up with His plan for you. Soon, you'll look back at this very pause and smile, realizing it was never the end. It was the inhale before heaven's exhale of blessing. Rest. Chosen one. The waiting is almost over. Chosen one. You are stepping into the understanding of delay. What looked like waiting was actually the hidden furnace of refinement. The divine doesn't rush masterpieces. While you thought life was standing still, heaven was sculpting you in fire, shaping your faith into something unbreakable. There's a certain kind of beauty that only emerges through heat. Gold doesn't shimmer in its raw form. It must face the furnace first. So it was with you. You've walked through moments that scorched your hope, through disappointments that seemed endless, through seasons where prayers echoed back in silence. Yet you didn't burn away. You became brighter. The Word of God declares in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 3, He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold and silver. That's what was happening while you waited. You weren't being ignored. You were being refined. Heaven's fire is not to destroy, but to purify. When God holds you in that furnace of delay, He's not punishing you. He's removing everything that can't go with you into promise. Imagine a blacksmith at work. He heats the metal until it glows, then shapes it with deliberate strikes. Every hit has purpose. The metal doesn't understand the pattern, it only feels the pain. But the smith sees the finished weapon long before the fire begins. That's what your Maker saw in you, a weapon of light, tested by time and tempered by endurance. Some people you loved couldn't stay in the fire with you. Some dreams you once chased had to melt away because they weren't meant to survive this refining. But what remains after the fire is stronger, purer, and ready. You might look back and say, those years were wasted, but heaven whispers, no, those years were investment. Time didn't slip away. It was poured into your preparation. Every unanswered prayer was an anvil shaping your spirit. There was a chosen one named Daniel who spent his nights surrounded by lions, waiting for rescue. To the world, it looked like delay. To heaven, it was divine proof. The lions didn't devour him because the fire of faith inside him burned hotter than their hunger. You, too, have walked through dens of fear and still stand untouched. Delay is not denial, it's direction. When doors stayed shut, it wasn't rejection, it was redirection. Heaven sometimes blocks your path, not to keep you from blessing, but to guide you toward the right one. Picture a seed again, But this time, the seed lies in the soil through an entire season of storms. Rain pounds, wind howls, darkness covers it completely. Yet beneath that pressure, roots are expanding. Delay is the storm that drives your roots deeper, anchoring your destiny in faith rather than in circumstance. Chosen one. The furnace may not have felt holy, but it was sacred ground. The heartbreak, the lost friendships, the opportunities that crumbled, all of it forged you into someone who can carry promise without breaking under it. The truth is, if blessings had arrived too early, they might have destroyed you. But now, after the fire, you're grounded. You know how to discern what's real. You've learned to walk by faith, not by sight. That wisdom cannot be taught by comfort. It's only born through pressure. Think of clay spinning on the potter's wheel. Every turn, every press of his hand shapes the vessel. The clay doesn't resist it, yields. That's where you are now, in the hands of the divine potter. He's almost done, forming the shape that will hold your next season. So, do not despise the waiting. Let gratitude rise, even for the furnace that once frightened you. You are being prepared for something weighty, something glorious. The refining is proof that heaven intends to entrust you with more. And when the moment of release comes, and it will feel sudden. But it won't be random. It will be the unveiling of what heaven has been crafting all along. Your fire season has not disfigured you. It has distinguished you. Every scar now carries shine. Every delay was the furnace making you flame-proof for your future. Chosen one. Take a quiet breath. Let peace return to your chest. You are not behind. You are right on divine time. And soon, what once felt like ashes will reveal the gold that's been forming underneath. You will emerge from this season radiant, carrying a glow that only the furnace can give. The world won't recognize you at first, but heaven will. For the fire did not consume you, it crowned you. You are ready now for the unveiling. Chosen one. The weight you carried quietly was never unseen. You wore invisible armor, while others only saw your calm. Behind every composed breath was a soul stretched, thin, yet still standing. You have held up others when your own knees trembled. You've smiled through exhaustion, built peace in chaos, and shown kindness when your heart was breaking. Heaven took note. Every hidden act of endurance became proof of your calling. You didn't just survive, you protected others while surviving. That is a mark of divine trust. The delay didn't disqualify you, it deepened you. As revealed in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." This is you, the one who stood the test. You didn't see the crown forming while you carried the weight, but heaven did. Every tear was shaping it, every burden polishing it. What felt like endless heaviness was actually heaven fitting your head for glory. Think of a tree standing through a violent storm. The wind bends it, the rain beats it down, but afterward, its roots are stronger. You have become that tree. The winds were never meant to uproot you. They came to reveal your depth. There's a story about a woman, a chosen one, who carried the pain of betrayal for years. She kept serving, kept loving, kept believing. When asked how she endured, she said, "Because I believed my pain had a purpose." That is what you've done. You've trusted purpose even when you couldn't trace it. The truth is, some burdens were not yours to carry, but heaven used them to expand your capacity. You learned empathy through exhaustion, wisdom through wounds, strength through surrender. The crushing was never to destroy it, was to create oil, and that oil, born from pressure, will soon anoint your next chapter. Your quiet endurance has been loud in the spiritual realm. Demons trembled when you refused to quit. Angels moved closer when you kept believing. You didn't lose your faith, you proved its roots. Chosen one. Heaven says, lay it down now. The weight has served its purpose. The lesson is complete. What was once your burden will soon become your testimony. Imagine a candle that has burned all night. The wax is low, but the flame still dances. Then, as dawn breaks, light fills the room, and the candle's job is done. That's you. You've carried light through darkness. The dawn is coming. You don't need to burn yourself to keep others warm anymore. The light is here to surround you now. Let your soul breathe. The fatigue that used to haunt you will fade as new strength rises. Peace is returning to your body like the tide coming home. The heaviness that followed you through seasons is releasing its grip. You're not weak for being tired. You're human and chosen. Heaven saw your breaking point and made it a birthplace. Out of that heaviness comes your healing. Before we move forward, make a small act of faith in this moment. Type, the weight lifts. Those 3 words are not just a comment, they are a declaration. When you write them, you're speaking agreement with what heaven is already doing, lifting every unseen burden, removing every silent heaviness, and exchanging it for strength. You're declaring that what once pressed you down now propels you forward. Let it be written in your spirit tonight. The weight is lifting, and what remains is glory. The pressure has fulfilled its purpose. You are lighter, freer, and ready for what's next. You will notice it soon in the way your chest no longer tightens when you think of the past. That's the proof that the weight is truly lifting. Healing rarely arrives as a thunderclap. It comes as a quiet unburdening, one breath at a time. Heaven doesn't just remove pain, it replaces it with purpose. When you whispered, the weight lifts. Something shifted in the unseen. Those words became permission for peace to enter. They are not just syllables, they are spiritual signatures. Each letter affirms that you are no longer carrying what belongs to yesterday. Heaven honors declarations spoken in faith, even when they're typed through trembling hands. And as you move forward, you'll notice how people begin to sense something different about you. They won't know what changed, but they'll feel the calm that surrounds you now. That's what happens when glory replaces grief. The atmosphere recognizes freedom before you even speak. So rest in this truth. Chosen one, the weight didn't win, you did. The heaviness served its purpose. The tears watered your future, and the silence built your strength. From this moment on, every step you take will echo lighter, brighter, and more certain of who you've become. Chosen one. Heaven's calendar has never run late. Every delay that made you doubt, every closed door that made you question your worth, was written into the design of time. You thought you were behind, but the truth is, you were being aligned. What you call delay, heaven calls perfect synchronization. There are no accidents in divine timing. When heaven schedules a move, even the stars shift their rhythm to make space for it. You may have spent nights staring at the ceiling, whispering, "When? God?" Yet all along, the answer was not no, but not yet. The sacred "not yet" has protected countless chosen ones from receiving blessings they weren't ready to hold. According to what is spoken in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven." End of teen. Those words are not poetic, they are prophetic. You are in a season that was always meant to unfold this way. The divine never rushes what it intends to last. Quick success fades, prepared success endures. Heaven delays not to frustrate you, but to stabilize the foundation under your feet. Think of the construction of a skyscraper. For months, maybe years, all you see is digging. Nothing rises above ground. People pass by and assume nothing is happening. But underground, engineers are reinforcing what will one day hold thousands of tons of weight. Only when the foundation is complete does the structure rise fast. Tall, unstoppable. You are that foundation. And this waiting has been your engineering season. There's another story of Joseph, the dreamer. He saw visions of greatness, but before the palace came the pit, the prison, and the years of invisibility. Each season seemed like delay, but none of them were wasted. When the divine appointed the hour, Joseph rose from confinement to command in a single day. What looked like sudden success was actually the unveiling of long preparation. So it is with you. Your palace moment is coming. But the pit was necessary to purify your motive. And the prison taught you stewardship. You were never denied you were being timed. In your stillness, heaven has been assembling details beyond your reach. People, places, and moments are being woven into your path like threads in a tapestry. If you saw the pattern too early, you might have rushed and ruined it. So heaven covered it in mystery, letting you walk by faith instead of sight. Delay, when viewed through divine eyes, is mercy, wearing patience as a disguise. It protects you from premature exposure, from blessings that would have crushed instead of crowned. You are not waiting for something random, you're waiting for something refined. Think of a musician tuning an instrument before a grand performance. To the impatient ear, the sound of tuning is discord, but to the trained ear, it's perfection in process. That's what your life sounds like right now. The notes haven't formed into melody yet, but the conductor knows the exact moment to begin. Chosen one. Heaven's timing isn't measured by clocks, it's measured by readiness. When you align with peace, not banitz, time begins to obey you. The anxious mind says, "I'm running out of time." The faithful heart says, "My time is in His hands." And you are stepping into divine rhythm now. What once felt like delay will soon be revealed as coordination. When heaven moves, everything shifts at once. The right people appear. The right opportunities align. The right strength returns. It's never random, it's always right on time. So breathe. The schedule of heaven is not behind. You haven't missed your moment. You've matured into it. Every detour prepared your discernment. Every pause protected your peace. The things you thought were lost were simply waiting for your character to catch up. And when your appointed time arrives, it will not creep, it will come with force. What took years to hope for will manifest in days, Not because it suddenly became possible, but because you finally became ready. The divine doesn't reward speed, it rewards surrender. You surrendered your timeline, and now heaven returns it, beautifully reordered. You will soon say, I understand why it took so long. Look around. The signs are subtle. The restlessness is fading. The clarity is growing. The old urgency is dissolving. That's how divine timing feels when it's near. It doesn't come with panic. It arrives with peace. So rest your heart in this truth. You are not late. You are right where eternity planned for you to be. The clock of heaven does not tick, it breathes, and its breath is moving over your life now, orchestrating what will soon unfold as your suddenly chosen one. Heaven's agents have begun to move. The angels of preparation are already arranging what your prayers once built in the invisible. You may not see wings or hear trumpets, but signs are everywhere. The subtle shifts, the unexpected peace, the people crossing your path with perfect timing. That's not coincidence. That's coordination. There comes a point when heaven begins to breathe life into what you've been believing for. You're standing right there, in that sacred threshold. The atmosphere around you is stirring, soft but sure, like the first wind before rain. The unseen realm has started rearranging the pieces of your promise, as written in the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 12. From the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. The moment you prayed, heaven responded. But response is not always arrival, it's preparation. Heaven doesn't just drop blessings into chaos. It first sets things in divine order. The delays weren't denials. They were the sound of angels clearing the path ahead. Picture this, a symphony being tuned before the performance begins. Every instrument adjusts to perfect harmony. The audience grows restless, not realizing the beauty being built in the prelude. You've been living in that prelude. But now the first note is about to strike. Heaven's music is ready to play through your life. The angels have been working quietly while you rested, placing opportunities where confusion used to live. People who misunderstood you will now recall your name. Those who overlooked you will start to notice, not because you demanded attention, but because grace makes room where striving could not. There's a sacred movement happening now, a holy choreography. Heaven is aligning your steps with divine intersections. A new door will appear where you saw only walls. What looked like an ending was the stage being cleared for new light. Imagine a painter preparing a canvas. For days, the surface stays blank while the artist mixes colors unseen. But when the first brushstroke finally touches the fabric, every shade suddenly makes sense. That's what heaven has been doing, mixing the tones of your destiny behind closed doors. The picture is about to begin. You may feel a strange stillness lately, as though the world has slowed. That's heaven shifting dimensions around you. What once resisted you will begin to yield. What once intimidated you will soon greet you like an old friend. Think of the tides, the way they pull back before rushing forward. That's where you are. The pullback has not been loss. It's been momentum gathering in reverse. Soon, the wave returns, greater and more powerful, sweeping in every blessing attached to your obedience. In these moments, the call is gentle. Stay open. Stay ready. Stay aware. Your miracle might not arrive wrapped in thunder. It could appear as a quiet conversation, a new idea, A small yes that changes everything. Heaven's activity doesn't need your anxiety. It needs your agreement. The angels move fastest when you are still enough to hear. So breathe deeper, live softer, and let gratitude replace impatience. Gratitude is a signal that tells heaven, I'm ready for what you've already prepared. You are stepping into divine ease now. The things that once required force will start flowing naturally. The contacts, the answers, the breakthroughs, they will come without striving. You'll simply find yourself at the right place, at the right time, with the right words. And when this happens, and it will, you'll feel a deep recognition. This is what I was waiting for. You'll know it not because it's loud, but because it fits. Heaven-crafted things always fit perfectly. Now, as you stand at this threshold, imagine a great door made of light before you. It doesn't push open, it responds to presence. All you have to do is step closer, and it opens wide. That's how heaven works. Doors open not through effort, but through readiness. If this word resonates in your soul, let your heart respond in the way it knows best. When the message of heaven touches you, sometimes the only fitting act is to echo it back. You might choose to pass this light forward, to let someone else feel the warmth you've just felt. And if you wish to walk beside this flow to continue receiving what heaven releases in its time, then treat your act of connection as sacred. Tap the like, share, or subscribe, not as a reaction, but as reverence, as your way of saying, I'm part of this divine unfolding. Olu, because, in truth, that's what this is, not a request, but an invitation. Every time you share what speaks life, you become a lantern passing flame to another waiting heart. Each light multiplies until the night itself begins to glow. Chosen one. The angels are in motion. You are next in line for what was promised. Step lightly. With peace in your chest, the music of heaven has already begun to play. Chosen one. This is the stillness before revelation. Heaven calls you to rest, not as escape, but as obedience. You've done the work, prayed the prayers, endured the refining fire, and now the divine whispers. Cease striving, for what's next requires stillness. This is not a season of proving, it is a season of preparing. Many mistake quiet seasons for absence, yet the quiet is where revelation is born. When the noise fades, truth speaks louder. Heaven cannot reveal deep things to restless souls, only to those who dare to pause long enough to listen. As declared in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. And the waiting is sacred. You are sitting in the pause between promise and fulfillment, the breath between prophecy and performance. Heaven is aligning the final details while you learn to find peace in what seems like nothingness. Imagine a cocoon hanging from a branch. From the outside, it looks lifeless, but inside, the unseen transformation is relentless. Wings are forming where limits once existed. You, too, are in your cocoon season. Heaven wrapped you in stillness to build strength you didn't know you needed. When it's time, the same stillness will split open, and you'll fly effortlessly into your next chapter. Rest is not idleness, it is preparation in disguise. The rest of the chosen is strategic. It's where clarity replaces chaos. In this stillness, Heaven is detoxing your spirit from noise that once clouded your discernment. You're being recalibrated. Consider Elijah again. Standing in the cave, weary and lost. The wind came. The earthquake came. The fire came, but God was not in any of them. Then came the whisper. That whisper was revelation wrapped in rest. You are standing in that same moment. God is speaking softly, and silence is his language. Chosen one, rest while you can, because revelation is near. And once it comes, movement will follow. The pace will quicken. The opportunities will multiply, and the doors will demand your attention. But now, right now, is when heaven pours wisdom, strategy, and confirmation into your spirit. Picture a calm ocean at dawn. Beneath that glassy surface, currents are shifting, creatures are stirring, and tides are preparing to rise. Stillness does not mean stagnation. Beneath your calm exterior, divine momentum is building. There's beauty in letting go of the illusion of control. You cannot accelerate what heaven has timed perfectly. So rest your mind from calculations and what-ifs. The one who authored your story knows exactly which page you're on. The Spirit is whispering even now. You don't need to force what is already written. The same hand that closed old doors is preparing to open new ones that fit your growth. Some doors were delayed, not because you lacked faith, but because you needed rest before responsibility. Rest isn't wasted time, it's recovery time. The anointing you carry requires renewal. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds to pray and regain strength before the next miracle. You, too, are being called away for restoration. Think of a warrior laying down his armor beside the fire. His battle scars are real, but his spirit is not defeated. He's resting because he knows another dawn of victory is near. That's you, recovering between conquests. Soon, revelation will come like a sunrise through the mist. What you didn't understand in confusion will make sense in clarity. You'll realize that God was never silent. He was speaking in a frequency peace could hear, but panic could not. This rest is your rebirth. The dreams that seemed dormant are breathing again. The energy that felt drained will return, multiplied. The ideas, the inspiration, the divine instructions, they'll flow naturally once you embrace the pause. And in this moment, as you sit in the quiet, heaven invites a small act of faith. Write this number below: 888. Not as ritual, but as recognition. The number 8 carries the meaning of new beginnings, life reborn after waiting, written threefold. It becomes heaven's echo, restoration of mind, heart, and path. When you write 888, you declare, "My new beginning has begun." It's not a number, it's your agreement with heaven's perfect timing. Chosen one. Breathe. The stillness you feel is not emptiness, it's expectancy. Heaven's next movement is being whispered into the ears of those wise enough to rest. Be among them. The pause will not last forever. Soon, the stillness will shatter into sound, the sound of answered prayers, of revelation unfolding, of divine instruction released. But until then, stay still. Heaven is speaking softly, and your spirit already knows how to listen. Chosen one. The striving has ended. You have reached the turning point where heaven no longer asks you to fight for what already belongs to you. The doors you once pushed are about to open on their own. This is the sacred exchange, your effort for His ease, your striving for His sufficiency. For too long, you measured your worth by your productivity, believing that movement meant progress. But in divine order, peace is progress. The proof of alignment is not exhaustion, it is rest. You are now entering the rhythm of grace, where blessings chase obedience instead of effort. As written in the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, verse 6, "Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord of hosts." These words are not gentle poetry, they are a law of the Spirit. What heaven births is not maintained by human strength. The same God who began your journey will complete it without your striving. You've been taught to hustle, to prove, to earn. But heaven's economy is different. The divine doesn't measure effort, it measures trust. Faith, not force, is the currency of miracles. When you rest in that truth, you stop trying to move mountains that were never yours to lift. Think of the river. It never strains, yet it reaches the ocean. It doesn't push, it flows, carried by gravity and guided by course. You, too, are being called to flow again, to move in rhythm with grace instead of resistance. The current of God's will already knows the way. For years, you may have mistaken resistance for rejection. But some walls weren't obstacles, they were boundaries protecting your energy. Heaven prevented certain things from working out because your striving would have drowned you there. Grace closed doors that ambition kept knocking on. Now, the Spirit is unlearning your old habits of survival. You don't have to prove your worth anymore. Heaven already called you worthy. The world may chase validation, but you were born validated. The cross already stamped, approved across your destiny. Think of a bow resting after the arrow is released. Once the tension is gone, the purpose remains fulfilled. That's you. You've already released your faith. The tension is over. The aim was true. What's coming will meet you without your grasping for it. Chosen one, you are being trained in the art of divine ease. This doesn't mean life will be without challenge, but it means your spirit won't be at war with itself. You'll begin to notice that when peace leads, things align almost effortlessly. People appear at the right time. Ideas unfold without force. Solutions seem to find you. This is not luck, it's flow. Heaven moves through still hearts. Remember Peter in the storm, rowing against the wind until he saw Jesus walking on water. The moment he fixed his eyes on peace itself, he walked above what once threatened to drown him. That's the power of resting in divine trust. Storms lose authority when you stop fighting them. In this new rhythm, you'll learn that obedience often feels like surrender, not striving. God doesn't need your exhaustion. He desires your agreement. Sometimes the holiest word you can speak is simply, okay. Pause for a moment and look at your journey. Notice how far you've come, even when you thought you were standing still. The battles that once drained you are now memories that teach you. The energy you wasted on control will now become strength for creation. Think of a garden after a storm. The soil looks messy, but it's rich. Seeds that were once buried now have room to grow. That's what your rest is doing, making the ground of your life fertile again. You're not stuck, you're being softened for harvest. Soon, you'll understand that grace isn't passive, it's power under peace. You'll look back and realize that when you stopped pushing, things started working. Not because you gave up, but because you gave in to divine rhythm, to holy timing, to trust deeper than fear. Chosen one, let the striving end. You've earned your rest, not by effort, but by endurance. The season ahead will require presence, not pressure. Heaven doesn't need your panic. It needs your permission to move through you freely. So breathe again. Let your shoulders drop. Let your heart unclench. Everything that's meant for you is already moving your way, not because you chased it, but because you became still enough to receive it. Rest is not retreat, it's revelation in slow motion. And soon, you'll see that what you called surrender was actually victory in disguise. Chosen one. Do you feel it? The silence around you, thickening. As though the world is holding its breath, the mockers have gone quiet. The noise of doubt has faded. Even those who once whispered about your failures have nothing left to say. Heaven has commanded silence before your rising. When God prepares to reveal His chosen, He first stills the voices of disbelief. It's not revenge, it's revelation. Every word spoken against you was fuel for the testimony being written in your life. Now the author has turned the page. The story shifts from ridicule to recognition. The Word of God declares in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Not, there's no longer a need to defend yourself. Heaven is your witness. And justice has already begun its quiet march. What they meant for harm, heaven has repurposed for glory. The same mouths that mocked your patience will speak your name with awe when the manifestation arrives. Think of the tide once more. The ocean doesn't argue with the shore. It simply returns when it's time. So will your vindication. You won't need to announce it. It will announce itself. You've been misunderstood for seasons, labeled as too quiet, too spiritual, too patient. But what they couldn't see was that heaven had hidden you for protection. Visibility without preparation destroys destiny. God sheltered your light until it was strong enough to shine without being extinguished. Now that season ends. The silence of your enemies is not coincidence. It's the beginning of divine reversal. Heaven has turned its face toward you. And when the light shifts, shadows disappear. There's a story about Hannah. For years, she was mocked for her barrenness. Her rival taunted her, believing her silence was defeat. Yet, in the stillness of her prayer, she conceived destiny. The child she birthed, Samuel, became the voice of a generation. Her silence was not surrender, it was sacred gestation. That is what's happening to you now. Heaven has silenced your accusers so you can give birth to purpose without distraction. The ridicule that once surrounded you has become irrelevant, because your results are about to speak louder than any rumor. Think of an eagle high in the sky. It doesn't respond to crows. The higher it flies, the smaller the noise becomes. You've been elevated beyond the reach of small voices. Their sound no longer echoes in your altitude. And when heaven elevates you, it does so quietly. There is no announcement, no applause, just a sudden shift where everything that once resisted you starts cooperating. That's what silence before breakthrough feels like, a divine pause before the sound of victory. Chosen one. You may not realize it, but your enemies were instruments. Their words tested your humility. Their doubt refined your resolve. Without their noise, you might have rushed ahead without roots. But now, those same voices have no power to affect you. because your peace has outgrown their chaos. Heaven is rewriting the atmosphere around your name. Where there was criticism, there will be curiosity. Where there was judgment, there will be favor. This is the nature of divine turnaround. It doesn't argue, it reveals. Remember Joseph once more. The same brothers who sold him returned one day desperate for his mercy. He didn't need revenge. His position spoke for him. That's how heaven vindicates the chosen. It allows the outcome to preach louder than explanation. So let them be silent. Let them wonder. The proof is on its way. And when it comes, your spirit won't crave validation. It will overflow with gratitude. Silence is a strange kind of justice. It doesn't humiliate, it transforms. The quiet that surrounds you now is heaven's way of saying, I've taken over from here. Emza, you no longer need to explain your patience or defend your waiting. The fruit will do the talking. The light breaking forth will speak your truth in a language everyone understands. Results. Chosen one. Stay steady in this silence. The echo of your endurance is reverberating through eternity. The same voices that once doubted you will soon fall silent, not because they were silenced, but because awe has replaced their words. Stand tall. Speak softly. Let heaven finish what it began. The storm has spent its noise. Now comes the calm of divine completion. And when that calm settles fully, you'll understand. Silence was never emptiness. It was the sound of heaven building your victory quietly. The hush around you is holy ground now. Every breath you take is proof that peace has won. Stand still. It's already finished. Chosen one. Can you hear it? The sound of doors unlocking. It's faint now, like keys turning in distant halls of heaven. But it's getting closer. What was once sealed shut is beginning to give way, not by your strength, but by divine authority. You are standing in front of doors that generations before you prayed would open. Every locked place in your life carried a purpose. Closed doors taught you to listen instead of push, to trust instead of fear. You learned patience in the hallway, faith in the delay, humility in the denial. And now, heaven declares its time. According to what is revealed in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one can shut. For you have little strength, yet you have kept my word, and have not denied my name. That is your word. In this hour, the locks are loosening because you remained faithful, even when the handle didn't turn. The doors could not open before because the room wasn't ready. But now both you and the room have been prepared. There's a rhythm to divine unlocking. One door opens quietly, leading to another and another. It rarely begins with fireworks. It starts with whispers of alignment, a message, a meeting, a moment, tiny hinges on which big destinies swing. Think of an ancient library, sealed for centuries. Dust covers its door, and no one remembers what's inside. Then, one day, a single light falls upon it, and the key finally fits. As it turns, air rushes out, centuries of silence breaking in one sound. That's what your breakthrough will feel like. You've prayed for one door, but heaven is opening corridors. Where you expected a single opportunity, you'll find pathways, divine chains of favor that connect destiny to destiny. This is not random, it's restoration multiplied. Remember Peter in prison. The guards slept. The chains fell. and the iron gate opened by itself. That's how God moves, without noise, without struggle. You're not going to force this one open. It's going to open at your approach. Chosen one. This is the hour when access replaces anxiety. You no longer knock in desperation, you walk in confidence. The password is peace. The key is obedience. And the door responds to recognition. It knows your spirit. Look closely. What once rejected you now welcomes you. The places that felt impossible suddenly become natural fits. That's how divine unlocking works. It turns rejection into readiness. The season that told you not yet now whispers, come in. Don't be surprised when opportunity feels unfamiliar. Heaven never reopens the same door twice. Every new access point carries a higher dimension of responsibility. You're not entering to repeat, you're entering to reign. Imagine yourself walking through a long hallway lined with golden doors. Some you passed before, untouched, because they were meant for later. Now, as you return, those same doors gleam with light from within. The handles move, one after another. You realize they were waiting for you to be ready, not the other way around. Every step forward now is confirmation. You won't need to force alignment. The signs will follow naturally. The right people will answer. The right opportunities will recognize you. The right doors will open without you having to explain who you are. You've been given the master key now. Faith refined through patience. It doesn't just open physical opportunities, it opens perception. You'll begin to see options where others see obstacles, and favor where others see barriers. This is what it means to live in divine timing, to walk into rooms prepared long before you were born. You're not intruding, you're arriving. Heaven knew this day before you took your first breath. And when that moment comes, and it's near, step boldly. You belong where God places you. You don't have to apologize for access earned through obedience. Now, take a breath and anchor this truth in your spirit. Type, doors are open. Those 3 words are not a comment, they're a covenant. When you write them, you're agreeing with heaven's decree over your life. You're saying, I step through what once resisted me. Let that be your declaration tonight. Not forced, not frantic, just faithful. Because what is opening now will not close again. The sound you hear is destiny unlocking, and the key has always been inside you. When you declare, doors are open, you awaken alignment. Those words signal heaven that you're ready not to beg, but to receive. They mark the moment your faith turns into movement. Each syllable becomes a step through destiny's threshold. You're not forcing the future. You're walking into fulfillment. The phrase itself unlocks readiness, sealing what heaven already set in motion. Chosen one. The season of suddenness has arrived. You can feel it, the rhythm of life quickening, the air changing texture, the invisible turning visible. What once moved at a crawl now begins to accelerate. It's as if the clock of heaven has leapt forward, compressing years into moments. Suddenly, things you've been waiting for are unfolding all at once. Don't be startled by the speed of it. Suddenness doesn't mean chaos, it means culmination. Heaven is simply releasing what's been building quietly for years. The roots of patience are pushing through the soil of time. And now, the harvest refuses to wait. It is written in the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 13. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when the reaper will be overtaken by the plowman. and the planter by the one treading grapes. This is that time. Blessings are overtaking effort. Miracles are moving faster than understanding. The divine has pressed fast forward on your destiny, and everything that once crawled is now running to meet you. Think of a river breaking through an ice dam. For months it seemed frozen, lifeless. Then, with a single crack, the pressure built over time bursts free, rushing forward with unstoppable force. That's what's happening to your prayers. Every whispered, "How long, Lord?" has collected in heaven's reservoir. And now the floodgates open. You may find yourself overwhelmed by goodness, opportunities, relationships, ideas, each arriving like waves on the same tide. It will not feel like luck, it will feel like orchestration. The threads of your past, present, and promise are weaving into one sudden picture of fulfillment. Do not fear the acceleration. Heaven is not moving too fast. It's catching you up to divine schedule. The years you thought were wasted are being redeemed in real time. The delays that made you weep are transforming into compressed seasons of breakthrough. Remember Joseph again, forgotten in a prison one day, seated in a palace the next. God doesn't need time, He needs timing. When His moment comes, it doesn't knock, it arrives with authority. That's what you're stepping into now. Chosen one. You will notice divine coincidences multiplying, conversations aligning perfectly, dreams confirming each other. What you once had to chase will begin to find you. That's the sign you've entered the current of suddenness. But hear this, as heaven accelerates your life, you must anchor your heart. Rapid change requires rooted peace. If you rush to manage what grace has already arranged, you'll lose the ease of divine flow. So stand steady in the middle of movement. Imagine standing in a field of wheat as the wind moves through it. The sound is alive, waves of gold bending in rhythm, yet the soil beneath remains unmoved. Be that soil, grounded, grateful, still. Let the blessings move around you while your spirit remains centered in trust. This new rhythm is sacred. You won't need to explain it to everyone. Not everyone will understand divine momentum. Some will call it luck, others coincidence. But you will know this is the harvest of hidden obedience. And when the moments of overflow arrive, remember, suddenness is never random. It's a reward for endurance. For every quiet, yes, you whispered in the dark, heaven remembers each one. Now, before we close, pause and reflect. This message reached you for a reason. If your spirit stirs, it's because the current of heaven is brushing past you right now, inviting you to step deeper into flow. If you wish, let your gratitude take form. Tap the like button as a symbol of thanksgiving, not for me, but for what heaven has already begun. Share this word only if it touches something genuine within you, as a lantern passing flame to another traveler who waits in silence. And when you feel ready to stay connected to the rhythm of messages like this, subscribe as an act of remembrance, a way of saying, I will keep listening when heaven speaks. These small acts are not obligations, they're reflections of resonance. A soul that recognizes divine movement often answers with light. So whatever you choose, let it be a gentle echo of what your heart already feels. Suddenness is here, chosen one, not as chaos, but as culmination. You've waited long enough. The divine clock has struck your hour. Step forward, not hurried, but certain. The harvest has come, and this time, it won't take years. It will take moments. You will look back and realize it didn't happen suddenly. It happened right on time. Every waiting season was the countdown. Now the rhythm quickens. The doors open, and grace rushes in to meet you. This is your acceleration. Beautifully timed and perfectly prepared. Chosen one. This is the anointing of fulfillment, the sacred moment when prayers become form and promises take breath. What you once saw only in glimpses is now taking shape before your eyes. Heaven is no longer whispering, "Soon." It is saying, "Now." Oh, the weight of waiting has lifted, and what once felt distant has drawn close. This is not a new promise, it's the awakening of an old one. The words that seemed forgotten were never abandoned. They were simply incubating in eternity, waiting for divine alignment. As revealed in the book of Joshua, chapter 21, verse 45. Not one of all the good promises that the Lord had made to the house of Israel failed. All came to pass. That truth echoes through every chosen life. Every syllable spoken by heaven must manifest. No matter how long the earth takes to agree. Fulfillment is not random. It's the result of faith refusing to die. You've carried promises like seeds in your spirit. Some were spoken years ago, and you wondered if you'd misheard. But seeds do not die in silence, they mature underground. Now, the soil of your life begins to tremble as roots push upward, breaking through into visibility. What was hidden is about to bloom. Fulfillment feels different from excitement. It doesn't roar, it hums. It arrives quietly, carrying the weight of something holy. It's not the applause that moves you now, it's the peace. You realize that what you wanted was never the thing itself, but the alignment it represented. Think of a vineyard after harvest season. The branches once heavy with fruit now rest, not in exhaustion, but in satisfaction. The air carries a sweetness only effort can earn. That's where you are, the stillness after sowing, the contentment after trust. Chosen one, your journey has shaped you for this moment. You've learned to recognize fulfillment not by noise, but by knowing. The doors opening. Now, don't startle you. They feel like home, because they were carved to your exact measure. Sometimes fulfillment doesn't look like fireworks. It looks like peace in places that once caused pain. It's reconciliation where bitterness once lived. It's laughter, returning to a voice that forgot its sound. It's the small things, the easy mornings, the unforced joy that signal heaven has touched earth in your life. There's a story of a prophet who waited for rain. He sent his servant to look, again and again, and the sky stayed empty, until one day, a small cloud appeared just the size of a man's hand. That cloud was the sign. The downpour came not long after. You've been scanning your horizon for years, wondering when it would break. Now, the first signs of rain are here. They may look small at first. A call, an opportunity, a shift, but they are enough. The cloud has formed, and the rain cannot be stopped. When fulfillment begins, don't rush to control it. Let it unfold naturally. You don't need to direct what God already choreographed. Simply walk with awareness, gratitude, and reverence. Fulfillment is fragile at first, like dawn, light, beautiful, but easily overlooked. If you're distracted, heaven will often confirm its promises through repetition. Pay attention. The same message might echo through a conversation, a dream, or a random encounter. These are not coincidences, they're confirmations. Each one whispers, "It's happening." And you might even feel a quiet sadness during fulfillment. That's normal. It's the soul releasing old survival patterns. For so long, you've lived in hope, deferred. Now, your spirit must learn to live in joy, delivered. That transition feels strange, but sacred. Chosen one. Fulfillment isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of stewardship. You're not just receiving a promise, you're inheriting a responsibility. Heaven fulfills not to finish, but to further. The miracle you receive now will become the testimony that sustains others later. Imagine standing at the edge of a lake at sunrise. The reflection is so clear, it blurs the line between sky and water. That's what fulfillment feels like. Heaven and earth finally mirroring each other through you. You are walking proof that divine delay is never denial. Every tear you sowed has produced something holy. Every detour carried a lesson you now embody. The journey itself became the evidence of God's faithfulness. So, walk gently in this moment. Don't let excitement steal your awareness. Let gratitude guide your every step. You've entered the realm where promises live, not as hopes, but as realities. Fulfillment has a fragrance. It smells like peace after rain, like soil after harvest. That scent surrounds you now. Breathe it in. You've crossed from someday into now. The waiting ends, and worship begins. Chosen one. The air around you feels different because you've entered the season of overflow. This is not the trickle of answered prayer, it is the flood of abundance that follows obedience. Heaven has shifted from addition to multiplication. You no longer live from scarcity, but from the surplus of divine favor. You once prayed for enough. Now God is preparing to give you more than enough. Not to drown you in excess, but to turn you into a river, a vessel through which blessing flows freely to others. As spoken in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 8, and God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. And abundance is not simply wealth, it's wholeness. It's when your peace multiplies, your joy overflows, your purpose expands. It's when what you carry spills into the lives of others. This is that moment. The heavens have opened above you, not for accumulation, but for assignment. Picture a well overflowing with clear water. At first, it startled the villagers. They feared the excess might be wasted. But soon they realized the water was flowing outward to barren lands, restoring what had long been dry. You are that well. Chosen one, your overflow will refresh others who have forgotten what hope tastes like. In earlier seasons, you held tightly to what little you had, afraid of lack. Now heaven invites you to open your hands. The river cannot flow through clenched fists. The more you release, the more you receive. Giving is no longer a risk, it's rhythm. You've entered the economy of grace, where surrender is the seed of increase. Overflow doesn't arrive with noise. It starts subtly, peace that doesn't fade, favor that finds you, opportunities aligning faster than explanation. People who once resisted you begin to support you, and doors you never noticed now swing wide. This is heaven's gentle abundance, unforced, undeniable, unstoppable. Think of the widow with the oil in her jar. She thought it was too small to matter until the prophet told her to pour. As she obeyed, the oil kept flowing until every vessel was filled. The miracle didn't stop because the oil ended. It stopped because she ran out of containers. You are now being called to enlarge your containers, your faith, your generosity, your vision. The oil hasn't run out, it's waiting for capacity. Chosen one. You've entered a season where your words carry weight. Speak life with intention. When you bless others, heaven echoes your voice. The overflow isn't just about material blessing, it's about influence, compassion, and purpose expanding in all directions. You'll start to notice how the things that once drained you now energize you. That's what overflow feels like. You're no longer running on fumes, you're flowing from fullness. The well inside you has been filled by grace, and it's spilling into everything you touch. But remember, with abundance comes responsibility. Overflow is not given to elevate pride, but to elevate others. Heaven trusts those who give freely. You are becoming a living testimony that generosity multiplies more than it subtracts. Think of light reflecting on a lake at sunset. The surface glows not because it creates the light, but because it receives and reflects it. That's you reflecting divine generosity so the world can see the character of the giver through you. And when overflow arrives, it brings restoration with it. Relationships once strained will soften. Lost opportunities will circle back, better and brighter. The years that felt wasted will return, multiplied. You'll find that heaven not only restores, but upgrades what was lost. Now, as this truth settles into your spirit, heaven extends a symbolic invitation, a quiet covenant between you and the flow that has begun. Type 555 below. Not as ritual, but as response. The number 5 speaks of grace multiplied here into overflow. 555 represents grace upon grace upon grace. It's a declaration that your season of struggle has turned into streams of divine supply. When you write it, you're agreeing with heaven's rhythm, that you will not hoard blessing but let it move through you. Let this number be your reminder that grace has no limit. You've been trusted with overflow, not to keep, but to carry to water the gardens of those still waiting for rain. Chosen one. Abundance is no longer a future promise, it's a present reality. You are walking riverside with heaven now, and the current is swift. Everything that touches you will begin to grow. Let peace be your compass and gratitude your language. The flood has begun, and it carries your name, Chosen One. The wind of restoration is moving through your life. Everything that once felt stolen, broken, or wasted is being gathered back, not as it was, but renewed, strengthened, and multiplied. You are standing in the season where divine justice meets divine mercy. Heaven is not just giving back what you lost, it's restoring time itself. The years that slipped through your fingers, the opportunities that seemed to vanish, the relationships that ended before their purpose was complete, none of them disappeared unnoticed. Every moment you thought was gone was actually stored in heaven's keeping, waiting for this exact hour. It is written in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. And that is the decree now unfolding over your life. Restoration doesn't mean returning to what was. It means being renewed beyond recognition. The lost time will return, carrying more wisdom, more grace, and more strength than before. Think of a broken vessel in the hands of a master potter. The world sees cracks. The potter sees space for gold. He mends the fractures with molten gold, creating a masterpiece far more valuable than the original. That's what heaven is doing with your story, repairing it with radiance. The scars won't vanish, but they'll shine. You might look back at old seasons with grief, wondering why certain things had to break. Yet heaven never destroys without the intent to rebuild. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared for a stronger foundation. The collapse was construction disguised as chaos. Chosen one. The restoration unfolding now is layered. It's emotional, spiritual, relational, and generational. Heaven is redeeming not just your years, but your lineage. The pain you endured is cutting off cycles that plagued your bloodline. You are the turning point, the one who ends the drought. For those who come after, there's a story of a tree struck by lightning, its trunk split open, half of it scorched black. The farmer wanted to cut it down, but he didn't. Season passed, and new branches began to sprout from the wounded side. When harvest came, the fruit from those branches was sweeter than any before. Pain had changed the tree's core, drawing deeper from the soil. That's what your suffering has done. It's deepened your roots. And the sweetness of this new season will prove it. Restoration is not rushed. Heaven works with precision. Not panits. Every piece of what was lost returns at the right time, through the right people, in the right form. Some things will look unfamiliar when they return, because you've outgrown the old version. Don't mourn the changes, celebrate the evolution. Restoration is not repetition, it's elevation. You will soon witness divine symmetry, doors reopening where you once heard no, faces reappearing with healed intentions, dreams you buried, stirring awake. It won't feel forced, it will feel orchestrated. Heaven doesn't rewrite your past, it redeems it. There is also restoration within you. The confidence that was stripped away by disappointment is being rethreaded into your identity. The laughter that used to come naturally is returning without effort. You will wake up one morning and realize your joy has been quietly rebuilt. That's how heaven restores it, begins from the inside out. Think of a tapestry flipped over. On the back, it looks tangled, chaotic, full of knots. But when turned around, the image is breathtaking. You've been looking at the underside of your story. Heaven is now turning it over to show you the design. The colors that once made no sense now blend into meaning. Chosen one, you are walking proof that time in God's hands is never wasted. The years others thought were lost became the soil for this flourishing. Heaven owes you nothing but grace, insists on paying back everything the darkness tried to steal. And when it comes, restoration won't just visit, it will dwell. You'll find yourself surrounded by peace, so complete it feels unfamiliar. The same spaces that once held pain will now host praise. The same memories that once broke you will now bless you. This is the divine paradox. What hurt you most became what healed you. The ashes that once buried your joy are now the soil of your rebirth. Every broken moment was a breadcrumb leading you back to yourself, to the version heaven always intended you to become. Walk through this season slowly. Don't rush the repair, savor it. Notice how heaven restores detail by detail, memory by memory, until wholeness no longer feels like a dream, but a reality. Restoration is not coming, it's happening. You're standing in it now. Listen closely, and you'll hear it. The sound of repair, the rhythm of revival, the quiet hum of heaven rebuilding your world from the inside out. Chosen one. The time of recognition has come. For years, you walked unseen, doing the work nobody celebrated, carrying the light nobody noticed. You sowed in silence, served without applause, and gave even when there was nothing left to give. But heaven saw it all. And now the invisible will be made visible. Recognition is not about fame, it's about revelation. It's when heaven allows others to see what it has seen in you all along. The world is finally catching up to what God already declared. You are chosen, marked, and appointed for this generation. The Word of God speaks through the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 2. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and His glory appears over you. That's what's happening now. The glory is rising. It's not human recognition, it's divine illumination. People will begin to sense something different. When you walk into a room, they won't be able to explain it, but they'll feel peace follow your presence. You were never meant to blend in. The seasons of being hidden weren't rejection, they were incubation. God concealed you so your growth wouldn't be crushed by premature exposure. Now that your roots are deep and your heart is stable, heaven is unveiling what it formed in secret. Imagine a seed beneath the soil. For months it's buried, unseen, forgotten. But when the season changes, it breaks through the surface, not because it suddenly gained power, but because the light finally called it upward. You, too, are being called upward. The same sunlight that once felt distant now shines directly upon you. Recognition feels holy when it's heaven's timing. You won't need to prove yourself, persuade, or perform. Your fruit will speak louder than your words. The evidence of endurance will be your introduction. Where once you were misunderstood, now you'll be understood without explanation. Chosen one. You're stepping into divine visibility. But take care, recognition is both a reward and a responsibility. It's not given to inflate pride, but to amplify purpose. The light that shines on you is meant to illuminate the path for others still wandering in shadow. You will notice people drawn to you for reasons they can't define. They'll seek counsel, comfort, and clarity. Don't shrink from it. This is your calling in motion. The glow they see isn't fame, it's faith refined through fire. The influence rising around you is sacred stewardship. Remember David. Before he was crowned, he was overlooked by his own family. They saw only a shepherd. God saw a king. The anointing found him in the field, not the palace. In the same way, your recognition will meet you where you are. It doesn't need grand stages or announcements. Heaven's promotion happens in plain sight, and no one can deny what they witness. Recognition also brings testing. When visibility increases, so does scrutiny, but you will not bend under it. Your humility will anchor your rising. You'll carry greatness quietly, without losing gentleness. That's what sets the chosen apart. They rise without forgetting the ground that held them. You might feel the eyes of others on you, some curious, some skeptical, some admiring. Do not be distracted. Stay focused on purpose, not perception. Recognition is a byproduct, not a destination. You're not called to be admired, you're called to be effective. There's a story of a lantern carried through a foggy valley. As the traveler walked, the light illuminated not just his path, but also the paths of others following behind. That's your life now. The glow of your endurance lights the way for many who once doubted their own worth. Recognition doesn't mean your journey is finished. It means your influence begins. The same fire that purified you now radiates outward. Those who once questioned your silence will now learn from your steadiness. The tables haven't turned, they've been transformed into altars. And when others begin to honor what they once ignored, receive it with grace. Their recognition is not your reward, it's heaven's confirmation. You've become a living reminder that faithfulness never fades unnoticed. Chosen one. You no longer need to explain yourself. The evidence of divine favor will speak in your stead. The glow of obedience will announce your presence before you utter a word. Recognition has arrived, not because you demanded it, but because you became ready to carry it. So, walk humbly under this new light. Let it reflect. Not blind. Let it guide. Not glorify. For the same glory that reveals you also calls you higher, to serve deeper, love wider, and shine brighter. You've been unveiled for such a time as this. The waiting is over. The witness has begun. Heaven's light is upon you, and it will not fade. Chosen one. You've reached the call to glory and purpose, the point where blessing becomes mission. The favor that now surrounds you is not a final destination. It's an invitation. Heaven has not crowned you for comfort, but for calling. The glory on your life carries a divine assignment, to awaken light wherever you walk. Everything that has been restored, every battle you survived, was shaping your character for this very hour. You've learned humility in victory, and gentleness in strength. Now the purpose of your journey reveals itself not to elevate you above others, but to lift others through you, as declared in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 16. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, who is in heaven. This light isn't about recognition, it's about reflection. You're not the source, you're the mirror, and heaven's glory shines brightest through hearts that remain surrendered. Chosen one. You're entering a new realm of purpose, where peace becomes your power. You won't need to shout your faith. Your presence will preach louder than words. People will find calm just by being near you. They'll sense something steady, something holy, and that something is heaven flowing through you. Think of Moses descending the mountain, his face radiant with glory. He didn't even know it shone. His encounter spoke without effort. That's you now, glory made effortless. Compassion made visible. The journey has marked you with something unmistakable. The weight of glory is never heavy when carried with humility. It rests gently, like sunlight through a window, illuminating without burning. As you walk forward, heaven will open doors, not just for blessing, but for impact. You will be sent into places that need warmth, not thunder. Glory is never static, it moves. And as it moves through you, it transforms the ordinary. Conversations become healing. Work becomes worship. Every small act of kindness becomes a spark that ignites another's hope. That's what divine purpose looks like in motion, grace, turning the mundane into ministry. Yet, purpose doesn't demand perfection. It asks only for presence. You don't have to have every answer. You only need to stay available. Heaven can do more through a willing heart than through a flawless plan. Imagine standing in a dark cathedral. One candle lights another, and slowly, the vast hall begins to glow. That's what happens when you live your calling out loud. It multiplies light. You are one flame in heaven's great mosaic, meant to touch hearts beyond your own. The glory you carry will sometimes draw those who are weary. They'll see something in your eyes, peace that doesn't waver, kindness that doesn't demand, and they'll want to know its source. You don't need to convince them. Just be. Light speaks in silence. Now, as you listen, consider this moment a sacred reflection. If something within you has stirred a quiet recognition of your calling, then honor that feeling in whatever way feels true. Tap the like button, not as reaction, but as reflection. The way a candle leans toward flame. Share this word if it mirrors what heaven is whispering through you, letting its warmth reach someone else wandering through shadow. And if this space has become a voice you want to keep hearing, subscribe as a form of staying near the fire. Think of it not as following, but as fellowship, a circle of souls learning to shine together, each flame strengthening the next. Let your comment below be your quiet amen. Write what rises in your heart. Maybe it's gratitude. Maybe it's peace. Maybe just a few words that feel like home. What matters is that it's real. When you release words of light, heaven always echoes them back. Because every act of engagement here isn't about numbers, it's about resonance. When you participate, you're not boosting a post, you're breathing life into a message that keeps hope alive in others. You're saying, I'm here, and I choose to carry light. Chosen one. Your purpose is awakening in full color now. The mantle that once felt too heavy will feel natural in your hands. You'll find joy in the very places that once drained you. What you endured has become what you embody. The crown you carry isn't on your head, it's in your heart. And as you move forward, remember, glory doesn't compete, it completes. The greatest power lies not in being noticed, but in noticing others, in being a reminder that light still wins. So, walk with grace. Let the world see what heaven looks like in human form, steady, kind, radiant, real. You are not chasing purpose anymore. You're living it. And that, chosen one, is the truest form of glory. Chosen one. Peace and power have returned to you. Two companions that had once felt far apart are now walking side by side. For years, you carried power without peace, striving to do great things while your soul trembled beneath the weight. Then came the stillness, the refining, the surrender, and now they meet again in you. Peace to guide, power to act. The world often teaches that peace means passivity and power means dominance. But heaven writes a different truth. True peace is authority under control, and true power is love in motion. You are entering that balance now, the place where strength no longer strains and calm no longer retreats. Scripture says in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." That peace is your fortress. It's the invisible shield surrounding your purpose. It doesn't stop storms from coming, but it keeps you steady through them. This is the kind of peace that can't be taught. It can only be received when you finally stop fighting the process. Peace is not the absence of pressure, it's the confidence that you are exactly where heaven needs you to be. Power, then, is not the roar, it's the still voice that speaks truth into chaos. You're learning to wield both without losing yourself. Imagine standing in a forest after a storm. The air smells clean. The ground glistens. And the silence feels alive. That's what your spirit feels like now. Everything unnecessary has been washed away. And what remains is unshakable. Chosen one. Your presence will soon begin to carry weight, not of burden, but of authority. You won't need to speak loudly. Peace will do the talking. Your calm will unsettle chaos. Your stillness will silence confusion. This is divine power at work, influence rooted in serenity. You have become a vessel that heaven can trust with quiet strength. When others panic, you will stand. When others doubt, you will discern. The same power that raised you from despair will now flow through you to restore others. Think of a lighthouse by the sea. It doesn't chase ships, it simply shines. Its stability becomes salvation for those lost in storm. You've been built like that, grounded on rock, illuminated from within. The waves may crash, but the light will not dim. This fusion of peace and power is your inheritance after endurance. You've learned that power without humility destroys, and peace without courage fades. Together, they make you unstoppable, unshackable, unbreakable. There will be moments ahead when life asks you to lead again, to step forward into spaces that once intimidated you. Do not shrink back. Heaven has already equipped you for this. You are not stepping into those places as the version who doubted. You are entering as the one who knows. Power is not in control, it's in consistency. You don't need to manipulate outcomes. You simply embody truth. The universe recognizes divine order and rearranges itself around those who carry peace. Sometimes, power will look like silence. Other times, peace will look like boldness. You will know the difference. The spirit within you will teach you when to speak and when to stay still. Both are weapons in the hands of the wise. Chosen one. There's a calm rising in you that feels foreign but familiar. It's the peace you prayed for when everything was falling apart. Back then, you thought peace meant escape. Now you understand it meant empowerment. Heaven didn't remove your storms, it taught you how to sail through them. That's the lesson of this season. Not immunity, but authority. You have learned to command your atmosphere, to carry harmony even into the battlefield. You are the calm in the chaos now, and because of that, your very presence will begin to shift spaces. Environments that once drained, you will now be healed by your energy. People who once argued in your presence will find themselves speaking softly. This is peace turning into influence, unseen yet undeniable. As you walk through the next doors, remember, stillness is not weakness, it's strategy. The greatest warriors move with grace because they've already conquered within. You have conquered within. Now, let peace lead and power follow. One guards your heart, the other fulfills your mission. Together, they make you whole. The old version of you fought to be heard. The new version of you carries so much presence that silence becomes its own statement. The old you chased clarity. The new you carries it. Peace and power, heaven's final gifts before fulfillment. Wear them like armor. Move with them like melody. You are no longer striving. You are standing. radiant and ready. Chosen one. Everything you have waited for is beginning to unfold. The long nights, the tests of faith, the silent seasons, they all converge into this moment of divine completion. What once felt like endless preparation has now become fulfillment in motion. Heaven's promises are no longer ahead of you. They are within reach. Breathing. Tangible. You have crossed through the wilderness, walked the valleys, and climbed unseen mountains. You have learned what surrender means, what faith costs, and what grace restores. Now, the reward is not just in what arrives, but in who you've become while waiting for it, as declared in the book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 4. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. And this is the truth singing over your life now. The desires of your heart are not random. They were planted by heaven long ago. They waited for your character to catch up with your calling, for your peace to match your promise. Now, as your heart delights in divine timing, the gifts flow easily, naturally, beautifully. You have stepped into the era where longing turns into living. What once felt like distant prophecy is becoming your daily reality. Yet, you'll notice your desires have changed. The things you used to chase no longer hold the same glow. Your heart beats now for purpose, not performance. That is how you know transformation is complete. Chosen one. This final unfolding is not a sudden miracle. It's a gentle unveiling. One by one, the petals of your destiny open under heaven's light. It doesn't need to be forced. It simply happens. The years of hidden work, the prayers whispered in fatigue, the moments of almost giving up, they've all gathered into this single truth. You made it. The desires of your heart are not limited to material blessings. They include peace that feels like home, relationships that reflect divine balance, and work that fills your spirit instead of draining it. Heaven delights in giving you not just survival, but satisfaction. Imagine a garden after years of tending each seed planted in hope, watered in tears, and shielded through storms. Now, under perfect light, it blooms in colors too vivid for words. That's your life at this moment, a landscape of answered prayers, each blossom carrying the fragrance of endurance. You'll begin to notice how everything seems to click into place. The right people appear at the right time. The ideas flow effortlessly. The closed doors of yesterday reveal themselves as protection. What once hurt now makes sense. What once delayed now feels precisely timed. This is the rhythm of divine satisfaction, the peace that follows fulfillment. But with every blessing comes wisdom. You'll feel a quiet responsibility rising in you, not to guard what you've gained fearfully, but to carry it faithfully. Fulfillment is not a finish line, it's the beginning of stewardship. The answered prayer is an invitation to nurture what was once only promised. Chosen one. Your joy will no longer come from what you achieve, but from what you embody. You've become the prayer you once prayed. The light you sought is now shining through your own eyes. The very peace you begged for has become your posture. And yet, even in fulfillment, heaven whispers, there's still more, not more to chase, but more to experience. Glory doesn't end, it expands. Each fulfilled desire opens space for deeper gratitude, deeper trust, and greater impact. You're not just living your dream, you're living God's design for you. Think of a sunrise after a long storm. The light doesn't rush, it reveals slowly, gracefully, touching every scarred surface with gold. That's how heaven finishes its work, not abruptly, but with awe. You are standing in the glow of that sunrise now. What you asked for has arrived, yet it feels gentler than expected, because fulfillment doesn't shout, it hums peace. The joy is quiet, mature, steady, chosen one. Everything you want is here, and more. But the greatest gift is not the answered prayer, it's the new heart beating inside you. One that trusts without trembling, waits without weariness, and loves without limit. Delight in this moment. Rest in the reality that heaven's promises never fail. You are living proof that divine timing is perfect, that waiting refines, and that faith always finds its finish. The story has come full circle. What began in longing ends in light. The wilderness has become a garden, the silence, a song. Everything you wanted and everything you didn't know you needed has come, and heaven smiles, whispering softly, "It was always meant to be you, La, chosen one. You've reached the end of this journey, but in truth, it's not an ending. It's the soft beginning of everything promised. You've walked through fire and found refinement, through silence and discovered peace. Every word you've read, every moment you've felt your spirit rise, was heaven's way of reminding you you were never forgotten. Now, as the final words settle, take a deep breath. Feel what's happening inside your chest right now, that quiet certainty, that calm warmth. That's heaven confirming. You're ready. The waiting has served its purpose. The blessing is here. The story continues. Only now you walk it with eyes open and a heart unafraid. If this message spoke to you, let your response be gentle but real. Tap the like button as your way of saying, "I recognize the light when it finds me." It's not obligation, it's acknowledgement. Every act of gratitude sends a ripple through the unseen, carrying light further than you can imagine. Share this word only if your spirit nudges you to. Think of it as releasing a lantern into the night sky. Someone, somewhere, still searching for hope, will see its glow, and remember they're not alone. And if this space has become a voice you want to keep close, subscribe, not as routine, but as relationship. It's your way of standing at the edge of the river, saying, "I'll keep listening when heaven speaks again." No, before you leave, pause one last time. Leave a comment below, just a whisper of what you feel. Gratitude, peace, renewal, whatever truth your heart holds. That small expression becomes your final amen to this journey. You have walked through the full circle of transformation. Now go live the words you've heard. Shine quietly. Move gently. Heaven is still writing through you.